So the offended team passes the ball inbounds into the offensive zone. Kogis in the corner. In the lane. Unseld. Oh, he's strong and fast. Dave Bing up to strike. Jerry Sloan also touched it. He touched it last. 34 seconds left in the third quarter, 86-81. Unseld has 8 rebounds. Sloan gets that one for the West. Kogis. LaRusso. 86-83 now. 15 seconds, third quarter. And the white team, or the Eastern All-Stars, have requested a timeout with 14 seconds remaining in the third quarter. The East having regained the lead as the West came from behind by 16 points. The East now leading by only 3.
Chris, here in Baltimore the last 2 days, I think with regard to Wesley Unseld, everybody knew that he had the strength and the weight to play in the NBA, but I think everybody has been amazed at the quickness with Unseld comes to play. He has the ability to guard a forward, and he's very quick inside, as we've seen here this evening, the way he has dominated the boards here in the third period.
Jack, there's an event coming up on ABC television, January 25th and 26th, that I look forward to. And I know I'll miss you, but I always enjoy teaming up with Bing Crosby and covering his great Pro-Am Golf Championship from Pebble Beach, California. That's the 25th and 26th, Saturday and Sunday from Pebble Beach. Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the Pro-Am aspect of the tournament brings in people like our old friend Phil Harris, Jack Ging, Bill Worthing, Bill Rigney, and ABC has a starter this year, and the president of ABC Sports, Rune Arledge.
He's paired with Claude Harmon, and I'm going to be looking in to see that twosome come out in front out there at the Bing Crosby.
And of course, Jack, I'll be with you Sunday afternoon in Philadelphia as the 76ers will host the San Francisco Warriors. All this on ABC. Unseld losing the ball out of bounds, 86-83 with 11 seconds, third quarter. Sloan and Wilkins, the backcourt men. The corner men are Kogis and LaRusso with Elvin Hayes, the center. Hayes batting it over. Wilkins. Ooh.
There we saw Elvin Hayes charged with offensive goaltending, and as the quarter ended, the basket was allowed.
So the final quarter is coming up. Our live color coverage of the NBA All-Star Game will continue as the East leads 86-83.
Joe O'Neill, St. Paul, talks about his 1969 Buick Skylark Custom.
I bought the Skylark because actually it's my airplane on the ground. It's not really an expensive car as most people think it to be. You can go in and buy a Skylark for the same price that you can go out and buy a low-price car. There's a similarity between the Buick and flying, just the way the thing handles. Like in the plane, it doesn't take much to get a turn out of it. Neither does it take much to get a turn out of the Buick. It looks like a knife going into the wind. I'm sure I could sell Buicks to other people. I could take them for a ride in my car, and if they couldn't see from that what a good car it was compared to the other cars, well, there's no hope for them.
Buick owners keep selling Buicks for us. Wouldn't you really rather have a Buick?
What's It All About, World? Premieres Thursday, February 6th on ABC.
Before the fourth quarter begins, let's study the last play of the third quarter, Jack.
There's a great example, Chris, of offensive goaltending. Watch Elvin Hayes, number 11 in the red. As the shot goes up, Wesley Unseld goes up, but watch Hayes go up with his hand over the rim right there, and he interfered with the ball while it was in the arc, and as a result, offensive goaltending. There you see him bat the ball away, and the basket was allowed as the quarter ended.
Well, here we go with the fourth and final quarter. At the end of the first quarter, the East led 35-19. The West in the past two periods has outscored the East 34-25 and 30-26.
The shooting percentages, Chris, in the third quarter, the West 9 of 20 for 45. The East, after starting out 1 for 11, finished 10 of 25 for 40%.
And look at them jumping. Unseld and Hayes, the rookies, controlled by the West. The West team, Wilkins, Jerry Sloan, Kogis, LaRusso, and Elvin Hayes. While for the East, it's Len Wilkins, Billy Cunningham, Hal Greer, Wes Unseld, and Gus Johnson are the Bullets. A long lead pass intended for Johnson, knocked away by Kogis. Kogis of the San Diego Rockets, as Wilkins picks it up. Gus Johnson defensively, quickly to Dave Bing.
Keeping in mind, Chris, Gus Johnson at 6'7", 235 pounds, made the defensive play on one end and wound up with the layup on the other end. There's Kogis with the ball. Gus blocking the shot, getting the ball, passing it out. Dave Bing on the fast break. And there you see Gus laying it up. A great play by Gus Johnson, showing his mobility.
Elvin Hayes now has 9 points for the West. It's 88-84. Kogis on a steal. Don Kogis is fouled by Hal Greer. Greer's second.
Talking about mobility, Kogis comes right back. We're seeing some great defense here tonight. Very aggressive play on the part of both teams.
And now Baltimore's Earl the Pearl Monroe, number 10, replaces number 21 Dave Bing of the Detroit Pistons for the East. Kogis has 2 points thus far, 6 feet 6 inches tall. His second All-Star appearance. Kojis. 88-85, 11-13 left in the game.
I think it is significant, Chris, that we haven't seen Wilt Chamberlain for a long time, so he is well rested over there on the West bench, and I expect he'll be back in this ball game.
3 Bullets now are on the Eastern quintet. This is one of them, Earl Monroe. The other was Unseld, and the other trying for the rebound was Johnson. Now Len Wilkins of Providence College. The battle goes on. Greer, 3-on-1. Johnson, number 25. And look at Sloan bulldogging. Jerry Sloan.
The shorter Jerry Sloan, not giving Gus Johnson a chance to sit up and take advantage of that height, go up and over him.
Hey, one. And one.
Knocked out by Hal Greer. As far as turnovers, 18 for each team. Elvin Hayes of Houston.
One. Oh. Go, Pearl.
Sloan of the Chicago Bulls with 10.5 minutes left. It is tied again at 88 all.
God.
Kogis. Jerry Sloan, number 4. LaRusso, 35.
There you see a great battle. You see Wes Unseld forcing Elvin Hayes out, but he hit the jumper that time. But Unseld is forcing Hayes out more than he normally would be playing, and utilizing that weight advantage to great advantage.
Now the West is in the lead, 90-88. Hal Greer, driving, is fouled by Len Wilkins, who now has 3 personals. Our live color coverage comes to you from Civic Center in Baltimore. Oscar Robertson waiting to come into the lineup. Greer looking for his first point of the game. There it is. Now it's 90-89. Len Wilkins. Hayes. It was Billy Cunningham on the rebound. A left-hand pass to Monroe, guarded by Sloan. It's good, and Sloan fouls Earl the Pearl.
Once again, we saw Earl Monroe at his best. There you see him with the ball, putting a little fake, stopping, hesitating on Sloan, and then just going up and in for an easy move. He had Jerry Sloan relaxed for a minute and took advantage of it, coming right back for the basket. Earl Monroe.
12 points in the game, 3 of 10 from the field. He was the East's second leading vote getter in All-Star balloting, trailing only Bill Russell. He averaged 41.5 points as a senior at Winston-Salem College. That's Bill Russell. Back in the East lineup, along with Oscar Robertson. LaRusso guarded by Johnson. Sloan. Hayes. LaRusso. 92 all. Here is Monroe. Off balance, still scores.
You know, it's very, very interesting, Chris. You watch Monroe and you recognize the great similarity that he has to Oscar Robertson, a great capacity to hesitate, disarm the defensive man, and then take advantage of the relaxing on the part of the defensive man to put the shot up and in.
Elvin Hayes rebounding. Sloan and Kogis. LaRusso. 94-92, the East back in the lead with 8:57 to go. Glenn Wilkins. Again. Kogis. And Richie Guerin, the coach of the West, gets off the bench and asks for his team to call for a timeout as Monroe commits his 4th foul. So with 8:46 left in the ball game, the East in a thriller has a 2-point lead on the West, 94-92.
Mr. Moss, what do you like best about our country?
San Francisco, Nancy Sinatra, and your telephones. You know, no matter how many numbers you've got to dial, your telephone system doesn't often foul them up. There's no waiting for hours to get a call through and then finish up with the wrong number anyway. You get the right one at the first go. From my point of view, that's pretty unusual. I wonder if you Yanks realize just how lucky you are.
Our nationwide telephone network is unusual in a couple of other ways, too, Mr. Moss. Over our network, anything goes. People talk, computer talk, pictures and drawings, anything, instantly, anytime, anywhere.
Your anywhere, anything, anytime network. AT&T.
She must be rooting for the East with a 2-point lead. You'll enjoy ABC's unique and revolutionary concept in ski racing on Friday night, January 24th. Stars of France and the United States going against one another instead of the clock, side-by-side competition from Aspen, Colorado. That's Friday, January 24th, 9, 8 Central Time. French-American Challenge Cup ski race on ABC. Kogis at the line. 94-92, 8:46 left in the game. Along the lane, it's Sloan and Hayes. Russell deep on the far side, while on the near side it is Gus Johnson for the East. Tied again. 10th time that the ball game has been tied up. Now Earl Monroe guarded by Wilkins. Jack, I would say he has to have the fastest hands in the league, Wilkins.
He is regarded by the players in the league as having the fastest hand. And there you saw an example of Earl Monroe, a great ball handler, deflecting the ball away from him.
Kogis tapping it to Hayes. Hayes to Wilkins. Cunningham trying to tie up Kogis. Sloan, Kogis. Sloan. Johnson of Baltimore on the rebound. 5 rebounds for Gus. Robertson. Cunningham couldn't get to it. 8:05 left in the game. It's Sloan, LaRusso, Elvin Hayes, Don Kogis, and Lynn Wilkins for the West. Robertson, Monroe, Johnson, Cunningham, and Russell for the East. Russo. Kogis.
Chris, we have a great battle going on between Russell and Elvin Hayes. Russell respecting Hayes' ability to shoot from the outside, guarding him very close, as well he should. The leading scorer in the NBA with over 30 points a game.
Joe Gashu spots a foul. Cunningham, correction, Gus Johnson picking up his second personal of the ball game with about 7.5 left. 96-94, West leading.
Jerry Sloan on the line.
Jerry Sloan at the line.
One shot.
From McLeansboro, Illinois, graduate of Evansville, still living in that city. And he has proven tonight that he is one of the top defensive guards in the NBA.
Very highly regarded as a defensive player and elevated to a starter tonight with the injury to Jerry West.
Go.
And he had to get around a Johnson pick, and now a switch as he moves to Johnson, and Robertson is picked up by LaRusso and Hayes to no avail.
And there you saw the move that I was referring to before with Earl Monroe. Robertson hesitating, drawing the defensive man up, in this instance Elvin Hayes, and then going up, not so much interested in the shot, but trying to draw the foul, as he did in this case, but he made the shot too.
Oscar Robertson now has 21 points, winner of the Most Valuable Player Award in 1961 and 64, and I would say in the running for the award again. East leading 97-96. Cunningham trying to steal it from Kogis. Sloan. Russell. But Kogis again. Johnson. Cunningham. Johnson trying to bat it in. His teammate from Baltimore, Monroe, to Cunningham. Wilkins. Knocking it out of bounds. So the East, leading by 1, has the ball.
The East perhaps overpassing on that play. Billy Cunningham with a shot, deciding to pass to Gus Johnson, having it deflected out of bounds. Gus working one-on-one against Rudy LaRusso.
6:44 left in the game. LaRusso fouling Gus Johnson, LaRusso's third personal. And Johnson goes to the foul line. Native of Akron, Ohio, played at Idaho. While he was in high school in Akron, he played with Nate Thurman. He has 5 points and 6 rebounds.
Now the East with John Havlicek. There you see Gus's rebounding average, 11.4. But Wilt Chamberlain now coming back into the game for the West, replacing Elvin Hayes. And for the East, John Havlicek. The East perhaps going to go to the running game that was so successful for them in the first quarter. And of course the West countering with Wilt Chamberlain, who brought the West back in the second quarter. So we should have a real fight down to the wire, Chris.
Okay, Jack. Elgin Baylor is in the lineup for the West, along with Jeff Mullins. Hayes and Kogis getting a rest now. Robertson. Timing is perfect.
Look at Oscar. He's fired up. He's clapping his hands. He's waving his fist. These players are fired up here, Chris. There's a lot of pride in this game. And as we heard at the luncheon this afternoon, Richie Guerin and Gene Shue both said that their teams were higher than a kite.
He makes sensational plays look routine. The native of Indianapolis, where his high school team won the Indiana State basketball title, and on to Cincinnati University to win NCAA championships. Wow. Baylor. Oh! All the superlatives for this man, too. Baylor with 17 points. So the battle for the MVP. Monroe. Chamberlain. 101-98 with about 6 minutes left in the ball game. Mullins. Chamberlain. Havlicek. Oscar Robertson. Earl Monroe. Sloan guarding Monroe. Foul called. And Gene Shue, the Bullets coach, coaching the Eastern All-Stars, would like a timeout. Monroe limping now, coming off the deck as Sloan commits his 5th foul.
There's Monroe on this drive, going on Sloan, going up and in, and Sloan hitting him. There you see the contact with the body. Sloan going back, and Earl Monroe going down on the floor. Coming down on that knee. Chris, he has arthritis in that knee.
All right, Jack Twyman, with 5:53 remaining in the ball game. Let's pause for a moment. The East is in the lead by 101 to 98.
Good to get home. Everything okay?
Fine, just fine.
The roses died, Daddy.
Oh, how come?
Heat from the fire in the garage.
How'd that happen?
Sparks from the house, I suppose.
The house?
Well, the explosion in the basement started it.
I think it was the burglar.
What burglar?
Oh, the police caught him.
One policeman tripped on my skate.
Oh, but he's going to be fine, just fine.
Isn't this our street?
Well, it used to be.
We live in a hotel now, Daddy.
Don't worry, dear. Our Allstate homeowners insurance is even paying for the hotel bill until the house is fixed.
Allstate Deluxe Homeowners Insurance protects against loss from more hazards than you can count, for less money than most companies charge.
Talk to the good hands people. You're in good hands with Allstate.
And now down the stretch in the 19th annual NBA All-Star Basketball Game. Lead has changed hands several times. We've had 10 ties. With 5:53 left in the game, it's 101 to 98, the East in the lead. Earl Monroe, who learned basketball on the playgrounds in the city of Philadelphia, is at the line with now scoring 16 points. 17. Rudy LaRusso, Jeff Mullins, Joe Caldwell, Will Chamberlain, and Baylor as Russell guards Chamberlain. Monroe. Gus Johnson. Beautiful.
There's a play Baltimore fans have seen many times. Earl Monroe hitting his teammate, Gus Johnson.
Elgin Baylor. And Johnson with the rebound. Lead pass to Havlicek. Look at Monroe. He tried to retrieve the ball.
Earl talking things over there with the Baltimore Riders.
A sellout crowd here. And they put press row right at the sidelines. Believe me, it's close. 5:21 left in the game as we look at Duke University's Jeff Mullins of Lexington, Kentucky. Now, Joe Caldwell from Texas City, Texas, and Arizona State gives to Will Chamberlain. Caldwell. Baylor. Here's Johnson. Big O to Johnson. .107 to 98. The East on top. Less than 5 to go. And of course, the crowd here would be favoring the East, and they're letting their feelings known. Chamberlain of the West.
There's that great strength. The East sagging a little bit, forcing the West to shoot from outside, and as a result, Gus Johnson inside to help on the rebound. Jeff Mullins.
107 to 100. Here's the East again. Johnson. A one-shot foul coming up. Next year, the All-Star game will be in Philadelphia. Gus Johnson.
That's his fourth penalty shot.
10 points. Now 11.
Gus having a big year for Baltimore, averaging 19 a game and 11 rebounds a game.
Elgin Baylor across the 10-second line to Caldwell. Now Jeff Mullins back to Caldwell. And Lou Hudson, who came into the ball game during the timeout, makes it 108 to 102, only 6 points separating these two great teams. Robertson. Chamberlain. Not only the ball, but Robertson down. Here's Monroe. Using Chamberlain's outstretched hand for a sight of an in.
And you saw him elevate the arc on the shot, trying to get it over Chamberlain's hand, as he did.
A standing ovation for Earl the Pearl Monroe, Gus Johnson, and the Eastern All-Stars. We have a timeout at Civic Center. The East leading by 8, 110 to 102.
Shell's hidden camera rolls again. Mr. Lyle Schaefer doesn't know that that dealer is really comedian Tom O'Malley, who's going to challenge his choice of Super Shell.
Super Shell? You must not do much driving.
I drove automobiles since I was 16 years old, and I'm 70 years old. And I know what kind of gas my automobile will burn, what I can get out of it, the mileage that I can get, and everything like that. I know, because I use it.
Well, what have you been buying, though?
I buy Super Shell, and it works in my automobile.
And how do you know it works? I mean, tell me.
How do I know?
I can learn.
Well, I get mileage.
Do you get bad or do you get good mileage?
I get good mileage with it. If I didn't, I wouldn't drive it or anything. I wouldn't buy it.
Thanks, Mr. Lyle Schaefer, for judging us on our merits. For good mileage, get Super Shell. It goes a long way.
Baltimore Bullet fans galore here in Civic Center in this nifty Maryland city for the 19th annual NBA All-Star Game. And with 3:38 to go, the East 110, the West 102. And the ball game has been tied up 12 times. The lead has changed hands 7, as Oscar Robertson now has 23 points for the East, Monroe 19, and for the West, Baylor has 16. The West with the ball. Here's Chamberlain coming to a high post. Baylor is fouled from behind by Gus Johnson of the Bullets, number 25.
And in this quarter, Gus has been great off the boards. He and Bill Russell getting the rebounds, getting it out to his backcourt of Earl Monroe and Oscar Robertson. How would you like to have a backcourt like that, Chris? Two great shooters, great passers, and they've worked very well together here in the Eastern lineup.
Baylor. Last year, the East humiliated the West at Madison Square Garden, 144 to 124. Baylor now 8 of 9 from the line, 17 points, 18. 3:32 left in the game, 110 to 104. East leading. Robertson.
Okay, one go. One.
Gus Johnson.
Let's go.
For the forwards, along with Havlicek, while Monroe and Robertson are the guards, backcourt men. Johnson.
Gus twisted his ankle driving across. There you see a shot of the ankle. He twisted his ankle driving across the middle, catching it on Elgin Baylor. Gus Johnson holding that ankle, his left ankle. He can't put any pressure on. I think he hurt his ankle pretty badly. Gene Shue out there.
Jack, let's take a look at it again.
Here's the move. There you see Gus coming across the top of the key, going up, and then catching his leg as he goes up. No, it was Caldwell. He caught his leg on Caldwell, throwing him off balance. There you see him going down, twisting his leg on Joe Caldwell, who caught him from behind. There he goes to the floor and he'll grab his ankle.
He deserves that round of applause. Johnson with 11 points and a very exciting ball player. His team, the Baltimore Bullets, lead the Eastern Division by 3 games. And of course, Gus does not want to go to the bench.
No, it's a rule, Chris, when a player is injured, as Gus was, he has to shoot the foul. And Normie Drucker now, the time called by the East, but Normie Drucker wanting to have Gus Johnson shoot the foul.
Well, we have 3 minutes and 15 seconds left in the ball game. The East is in the lead, 110 to 104.
Part of the fun of going to a dog show is looking at the people. Wherever you find people having fun, you'll find Winston. Winston, America's largest selling cigarette. Because it's what's up front that counts. And up front, only Winston has golden filter blend tobaccos for the best taste in filter cigarettes.
Winston tastes good like a cigarette should.
Like your cigarette should.
3:15 left in the ball game. The East leading the West 110 to 104. Team's about ready to come out now. We have quite a team. For ABC, the executive producer is Brune Arledge. This NBA All-Star Game produced by Chet Forty, directed by Andy Sedaris. Associate directors Don Olmeyer, Larry Cam, technical director Bob Bernthal, unit manager Dave Holman. Assistants to the producer Jeff Mason and Carol Letty. Gus Johnson, who injured his ankle, hit that one from the line, make it 111 to 104. And Gus shaking off the injury as Joe Caldwell for the West has the ball. They trail by 8 points now with about 3 minutes to go. This is Jeff Mullins. Caldwell to Baylor. Coming around to Chamberlain's screen, picked up by Bill Russell now. Knocked out of bounds by Monroe.
Now with 2:57, time becomes the big factor. The East looking to slow it down, enjoying an 8-point lead. The West, however, will apply the pressure on defense, trying to get down and bring the score back closer than 8 points. John Havlicek.
Havlicek, Robertson, and now Earl Monroe. Guarded by Baylor. And here comes Billy Cunningham for the Eastern All-Stars, giving Gus Johnson a much-needed rest because of the injured ankle. The East on an out-of-bounds play. Havlicek. 2:37 left in the ball game as the East now leads by 10. Caldwell. Robertson. Rebounding to Havlicek, to Monroe. 116 to 104. 2:18 to go. Now it's Lou Hudson. Baylor. Lou Hudson of the Atlanta Hawks, Elgin Baylor of the Los Angeles Lakers.
And the East, Chris, here finishing the game as they started it with that blazing fast break, relying on Bill Russell to get the rebounds, getting it out to Earl Monroe and Oscar Robertson for the fast break baskets.
At the end of the first quarter, the East led by 16 points. At halftime, they led by 7. At the end of 3 quarters, they led by 3. Then the West went ahead. Elgin Baylor. 11 of 12 tonight from the foul line.
Oscar Robertson slowing it up. The quarterback for the East trying to use the time a little bit, setting it up with a good shot.
Havlicek. A minute 57 left in the ball game. The East leading by 12 points. The West, Joe Caldwell. Finding Baylor. Jeff Mullins. And Oscar Robertson. Havlicek. Baylor. To Mullins. To Hudson. The West having trouble finding the hoop as we have John McLaughlin, Wes Unseld, and Hal Greer coming into the lineup for the East. Oscar Robertson comes out of the ball game. His team leading by 12. Earl Monroe and Bill Russell congratulate one another. They're met by their coach, Gene Shue. Oscar with 24 points. Here's the West now. Lou Hudson. Can't shake Havlicek. Baylor. To Mullins. 118 to 108. A minute 22 to go. Sunday, our NBA Game of the Week telecast from Philadelphia. Hal Greer and the 76ers meeting San Francisco Warriors. Here's Greer.
Before. No shot.
Hal Greer will go to the line to get one shot with 1:10 to go.
His third penalty, Hal Greer.
The East tonight, Chris, using the fast break beautifully. A great hand for Russell and Earl Monroe and Oscar Robertson, and deservedly so. They worked the fast break to perfection, and as a result are enjoying an 11-point lead here in the closing minutes.
The East in this series, in 18 games, they've won 12, while the West has won 6. And in the 18 All-Star games, the visiting team has only won 3 times. The voting is in now with 56 seconds left in the ball game. See if the MVP balloting by the press coincides with your judgment of the top player in this game. The MVP for the 3rd time, joining his 61 triumph and again in 64, Oscar Robertson of the Cincinnati Royals.
And he has been superb this evening. He was setting up the play, scoring, and working on the fast break with Earl Monroe.
32.
So with 40 seconds to go, it's 121 to 110. Our thanks to Jerry Kapstein and our longtime spotter Bill Creel here in Baltimore for their help. Chamberlain. Traveling. 28 seconds left in the game as we look at Oscar Robertson, the most valuable player, alongside his Cincinnati Royal teammate Jerry Lucas. While out on the court, Billy Cunningham of the 76ers. Losing it to Jeff Mullins. Mullins long to Caldwell. 121 to 112. For the East, it's McLaughlin, Hal Greer, Havlicek, Cunningham, and Unsold. Far for the West, Jeff Mullins, Caldwell, Baylor, Chamberlain, and Lou Hudson.
We've seen some great individual performance here this evening. Of course, Oscar Robertson winning the MVP. Haskell Cohen at our right with the gigantic trophy that will be awarded to Oscar at the conclusion of the game. A great performance by Will Chamberlain, Wes Unseld, Earl Monroe, Gus Johnson. A superb evening for any basketball fan here in Baltimore.
And we certainly hope you enjoyed it wherever you are tonight. 4 seconds left in the ball game. 123 to 112. Out of bounds, the West. Jeff Mullins. Knocked away by Greer, who's looking for his first field goal. And so, the final score is the East 123, the West 112. And now this is Chris Schenkel along with Jack Twyman saying so long from Baltimore. Air travel arrangements made through in promotional consideration furnished by TWA, the sportsman's airline. Whether you're a sports spectator or participant, TWA is your kind of airline. We go where the action is. The NBA All-Star Game was brought to you by Winston, now America's largest selling cigarette of any kind, filter or non-filter. Winston tastes good, like a cigarette should. By the Shell Oil Company, makers of Super Shell, the gasoline for good mileage, Super Shell and the clean white pump wherever you see the sign. And by Allstate Insurance Companies, for insurance to protect your car, your home, your life, and health, business too. You're in good hands with Allstate. This has been an ABC Television Network sports presentation.
That's Life returns next week with Robert Morris, E.J. Peeker, and special guests Phil Harris, Agnes Moorehead, and Rodney Dangerfield. The Joey Bishop Show welcomes Juliet Prowse tonight at 11:30, 10:30 Central Time on